Hi everyone, my name is Ishaan Manoj and this is my Project 1 presentation for MGMT 216. So for this project, I took a look at J&J Chocolates, a company based in central New Jersey that makes and sells high quality specialty chocolate. They have a factory and a retail store, but a couple years ago they launched an e-commerce website. And honestly, it's been doing really good, but management wants to further sales, but they're wondering how. And to answer that, we need to actually understand who's shopping on the website and how they behave, because that's what the whole analysis is about. So, here's the data we're working with. This is a sample of 50 online transactions pulled from last month's sales. For every single transaction, we have five pieces of information: what day of the week it happened, what payment method the customer used, how long they spent on the website in minutes, how many pages they viewed, and finally, how much money they spent. Now, two of these are categorical variables, which is the day and the payment method, and the other three are quantitative: time, pages, and amount spent. That distinction matters because it determines what kind of analysis we can run on each one. So with that out of the way, let's get into the numbers. Alright, starting with the basic descriptive statistics. Looking at time first, the average customer spends around 12.8 minutes on the website. The quickest visit was only 4.3 minutes, and the longest was almost 33 minutes. So there's a pretty wide range there. The standard deviation's about 6 minutes, which tells us there's real variation. Some people know exactly what they want, and others like to take some time before making a decision. For pages viewed, the average customer looks at about 4.78 pages, but we'll call it 5. The minimum was 10, the minimum was 2 and the maximum was 10. And then the one J&J probably cares about the most, amount spent. The average transaction comes out to $68.41. The smallest purchase was about $18 and the biggest was over $158. The standard deviation here is around $32.64, so spending is honestly all over the place. Some customers grab something small, and others are clearly doing some serious gift shopping. Now let's look at how these are actually distributed. On the left here is time spent, and as you can see, the tallest bar is the 10 to 15.7 minute range, with 21 out of 50 customers landing right there. Notice how the chart leans to the left and tapers off? Yeah, that's a right skewed distribution, meaning most people are on the quicker side and only a handful stay on for 20, 25, 30 plus minutes. And pages viewed on the right looks really similar. The bulk of customers are viewing somewhere around 4 to 6 pages, and barely anyone goes past 8. So people aren't exploring the entire catalog, they browse a little and then make a decision. An amount spent follows the exact same story. The biggest chunk of transactions falls in that roughly $48 to $80 range, right around the average. But look at the right side of the chart. There's a small group of customers spending about 110 to 140, even $170. That small group, although they're a minority, they have something in common which we'll get into later. So now let's break things down by the day of the week. And one day immediately jumps out of this bar. Friday. Friday alone has 11 of the 50 transactions, which is 22% of everything. My guess is people are buying chocolate heading into the weekend, maybe gifts, maybe treating themselves. Monday is the second busiest at 18%, but on the other hand, Sunday and Thursday are much slower, with only 5 transactions each, 10% a piece. So right away we know the week is not balanced. There are clear fast days or more crowded days, and clear slow days. But here's where it gets very interesting. Let's look at the actual dollar amounts. Friday isn't just the busiest day, it's also the biggest revenue day by far. $945 in total sales, way ahead of every other day. But check out the average column on the right. Monday actually has the highest average spend per transaction at $90.38. Friday is close behind at about $86. So Friday wins on volume, Monday wins on order size. And then Sunday is unfortunately still the slowest, with the slowest traffic and as well as the lowest average order. at just $43.63. So Sunday customers are both rare and spending small. That's a clear problem area, but we'll come back to it in the recommendations. Moving on to how people are actually paying. No surprise here, credit card is king. 27 out of 50 transactions. That's 54% more than half of everything. PayPal comes in second at just 32%, and Apple Pay is barely used with just 7 transactions. So if you only looked at this chart, you'd focus on just credit cards, right? Not exactly. Because when you look at how much each group spends, the story flips. Apple Pay users average around $76.50 per order, with PayPal users averaging $76.76. But credit card users only $61.36. So the two least popular payment methods are associated with roughly $15 more per transaction. That's pretty meaningful. That's a pretty meaningful gap. I can't say the payment method causes higher spending, but there's clearly something about those customers worth paying attention to. And it suggests Apple Pay and PayPal deserve way more visibility than 14 and 32%. Now for correlational analysis. This is where we test J&J's actual question. Do people who spend more time and view more pages actually spend more money? Starting with time. Each dot on the scatter plot is one customer. Their time on the site along the bottom and how much they spend going up. And you can see the trend line clearly moving upward. The correlation coefficient comes out to around 0.58, which is a moderately positive relationship. So yes, generally the longer someone stays on the site, the more they spend. It's not a perfect relationship, but you can see plenty of scatter around that line. But the trend is real, so everything is going up. But now look at pages viewed versus amount spent. This one is stronger. The correlation here is about 0.70%, and you can actually see it. The dots hug the trend line noticeably tighter than the last chart. So what does that tell us? It's not really about how long someone sits on the website. It's about how much of the store they're actually looking at. And every additional page is another chance for a product to catch their eye. Out of everything in this data set, pages viewed is the single best predictor of how much a customer spends. And that becomes the backbone of my biggest recommendation. So pulling all of this together, I've got 3 recommendations for J&J chocolates. Number 1, staffing and inventory. We know Friday and Monday carry the week, so make sure inventory is completely stocked and fulfillment is ready to go on those days. The worst outcome will be selling out or shipping slow on your 2 biggest days. And for the slow days, Sunday and Thursday, don't just accept them. Run a Sunday only promotion or a Thursday discount code to post some sort of demand into those gaps so you can even out the week. Number 2 is payment strategy. Keep the credit card checkout smooth since it's still the majority of orders, but actively promote Apple Pay and PayPal. Put them front and center at checkout. Their users spend about $15 more per order, and with so much shopping happening on phones nowadays, Apple Pay especially is a one-tap purchase. Less friction, bigger orders, it's an easy win for them. And number 3 is the biggest one, website engagement. Since pages viewed is the strongest predictor of spending, J&J's goal should be getting every visitor to see more of the store. That means better navigation, or say pop-ups like you may also like with new product recommendations, feature collections on every page, etc. Anything that turns a 3-page visit into a 6-page visit, and so on and so forth. Based on this data, that directly translates into bigger orders. So to wrap everything up, Friday is the busiest and heaviest revenue day, with Monday close behind on order size. Credit card is the most popular way to pay, but Apple Pay and PayPal users are the bigger spenders. And the strongest insight in the entire data set, which is browsers predicts buying. Pages viewed at a 0.7 correlation beats time spent as a predictor of how much a customer spends. Now, one honest limitation, this is only 50 transactions from a single month. It can't capture seasonality like holidays like Valentine's Day or Christmas or even Halloween, which is like the biggest event to get candy or chocolates. So those days are huge for companies like this. So my final suggestion to J&J would be to keep collecting data over several months to confirm these patterns hold up. But even from this one sample, they are clear, actionable moves they can make today. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you have the good rest of the summer.